What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. This is the second part of season 9, episode, what is it? Episode 7 for The Walking Dead. Thanks for tuning in. This is The Broken Dead, and we're going to talk about some speculation and teasers going into episode 8, which is also the mid-season finale. So, my name is Dylan.
And I'm Lydia.
And you're watching The Broken Dead. By the way, once again, thanks for tuning in. Whether you're listening on a podcast or if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, you might be seeing this. Excuse me. Just want to say hi to new listeners. If you didn't listen to the last one, if you want to go back and listen to that, it's a scene-by-scene episode breakdown. And sometimes it gets a little long, but there's some good stuff in between the cracks if you pay attention. And so you can also check out the website. That's www.broken.picturesno.com. And check us out on social media. On Facebook, we're Broken Pictures Social. On Instagram and Twitter, we are Broken_social. If you would just go there and leave a comment and just let us know that you listened to the episode, that would be great. We'd appreciate that. And if you're feeling generous, you can hit us up on Patreon, and we'll have more time to make these episodes better and more often. But more importantly, if you would just, like I said, comment, like, share, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff, and just let us know what you thought of the episode, that you are out there listening. We'd appreciate that. And we love to conversate. That's what this is. It's a conversation about the episode and teasers. So, once again, if you didn't watch the first one, Quin is out. He is having some Thanksgiving time with his family. We're in America. If you're listening internationally, we appreciate that, by the way. But it is our week for Thanksgiving. And, excuse me. Excuse me. And so we're going to be eating some food and getting fat this week. And
Fatter.
Yeah. Oh, come on. And but Lydia is going to be cooking us up some amazing Thanksgiving dinners. I don't know why I just wanted to say vittles. I don't know what's up with your teeth right now either. This is like some of the just the fun, quirky stuff you get from watching us rather than just listening. You can see some of the funny quirks and faces that we make. Anyways, happy Thanksgiving if you're listening. And once again,
Spoiler alert.
This is specifically for spoilers. We did some spoilers in the last one, but this one is going to be all speculation and spoilers. Some things we have a little insight on just from scouring the internet, and other things were just pure speculation. We have no clue. And as you can see, Quin is not here. He's our resident comic expert. And he's not going to be here to correct us. So this one might get out of control. So if you have read the comic and we just start saying crazy things, just shoot us a nice little comment and say, hey, that's not really a thing. Or actually in the comics it happened like this. Or they might remix it like this. Because, I mean, we're technically beyond comic book territory-ish. As far as like with characters. I mean, they're still having the same events. But anyways... Get my phone out of my pocket. I think it's making noise. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. By the way, this episode was directed by Michael Cutlitz, who played Abraham. And so, all right. Next on The Walking Dead is the mid-season break. Like I said, it's the mid-season finale, I should say. And then they'll go for a break and they'll come back sometime in January, February-ish. And I don't know if there's a date out for that yet. If you guys know the date they're coming back, hit me up on Twitter and let me know. Excuse me, that's broken_social. And so there's also reports that they're saying that the next episode is going to be the scariest episode The Walking Dead has had in years. So they've really been leaning into this horror genre and the Western genre and just kind of re-owning it. They got away from it a little bit with the whole Negan thing. But I'm glad they're getting back into it. This episode in particular, I thought had some great horror moments. And so the next episode is titled Evolution. And the description is a small rescue mission braves a dangerous herd in their hunt for a missing comrade, only to discover a surprising threat that could doom them all. Doom on you.
Scary.
Doom on you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So obviously we know that's Jesus, Aaron, and Daryl's rescue mission of Eugene, who has inadvertently, with Rosita, who is now safe and sound, has discovered the Whisperers. Oh yeah, don't forget Dog is with Daryl.
Of course.
So yeah, if Dog dies, we riot. If you're watching this, I'm gonna assume that you know what the Whisperers are, and you have already figured out. You're familiar. You know enough that these walkers aren't just evolving, as the title, suggests. So the next episode teaser, I'm just quickly gonna skim over and break it down a little bit. We've got the one that aired right behind the episode. We see Jesus, Aaron, and Daryl watching a bunch of walkers. They said they've never seen a milling around like this before. Daryl says they should go because there's a storm coming. And we get a scene of a walker look up seemingly toward them. And there's a longer scene in another teaser. And it just kind of like goes through the crowd. And the walker's kind of hunched over. And then we come up behind it, and it kind of stands up and turns, and it's really creepy.
I'll have to check that one out after.
Yeah. So is this Alpha? Alpha is...
I don't know. Our thoughts are going to be at the end.
Yeah, you're right. Well, yeah, my bad. All right, so then we get a shot of Alexandria, and it's raining. We see that storm Daryl was talking about. And then we see very upset Rosita telling Michonne and Sadiq that Eugene is still out there. Sadiq says that they can handle it, and she insists that they cannot. Jesus, Aaron,
Further corroborating Eugene's story, like he says.
Yeah. So Jesus, Aaron, and Daryl find Eugene in a building. Looks more like a house than a barn. But anyways,
it looked like the top of the barn to me.
Maybe
like the coop, or what is it called? Yeah, that's
something like that.
I'm gonna think of it here in a second.
Yeah. So they find Eugene in the building. It's dark, and there are walkers out there nearby. And freaked out Eugene says that they're not a normal herd, that they're looking for him. Not in this teaser, but previously teased on like in the next few episodes type thing. We see Aaron running through the woods from these walkers, and we get a voiceover from Eugene that says the walkers are evolving. Once again, alluding to the title. We see Jesus and Aaron fighting walkers out in front of a gate. That's what makes me think that it's a house and not a barn, because they're like out in front of this like iron gate type thing. But it could be a different location there on the run. I think it's a different
location.
Yeah, it might be the actual house of the barn or something.
Yeah.
I mean, just see a barn out in the middle of nowhere sometimes. I don't know. Somebody owns a barn. Not living in the barn, I expect. Anyways, also not in this teaser, but previously teased, we see Jesus slaying walkers like a ninja in the dark, just kind of like jump, punch, kick type thing. And we see Daryl on top of a roof seeing a herd approach, and he hears them whispering, "Keep them together," or "Keep them together," type thing. That was creepy.
That was, no.
Yeah. I like the whisperers' voices. And he also becomes very freaked out, and Daryl's been out on his own for a long time, so there's something to that. And then also not in this teaser, but previously teased, we see Negan playing with a ball with somebody in his cell. And so how about Let me go over the sneak peek real quick. There's another sneak peek on AMC's YouTube page. Well, first let's mention the sneak peek from The Talking Dead, where we see Aaron and Jesus and Daryl have found Eugene, and Eugene is telling them he's very freaked out. You know, like you said, they're not the same type of walkers. They're different. They're talking. He said that they're following him, and they've been back by twice already, and they heard them whispering to each other, and Jesus is kind of like talking like he's not really believing. They think Eugene he's dehydrated, like they found Rosita. He's just kind of like he's not all there. He's hallucinating or something. But he's very freaked out. Says Rosita will corroborate his story, and then dog comes running in through the window, kind of whimpering. And then,
What?
Yeah, he comes in there. He's kind of whimpering a little bit, and then they look out the window and they see the herd approaching.
You mean he goes to the window and starts barking at the walkers that he sees, and then they go over there and see the walkers?
I thought he rushed. I thought I saw him coming through the window.
No, he went over to the window.
Okay. Yeah. If you don't know, this is the only one. This is the only teaser that I forgot to like line out in my notes, so I'm kind of winging it on that one.
And I just watched it. We
Yeah.
both just watched it.
Yeah. So yeah, go find it for yourself, man. It's the internet. Just Google it. So anyways, all right, there's another sneak peek on AMC's YouTube page that it shows like Michonne and company arrive at the Hilltop's closed gates. And they're greeted by Diane, who was originally from the kingdom. She asked what their business is, and Michonne says that they're there for Rosita. Things seem a little intense. Sadiq says that they met their messengers on the road that were headed toward Alexandria, and they got the news. Diane asks about the others, and Michonne vouches for them, says that they're good people who need a home, and she said that the Hilltop would consider taking them in. So Diane just kind of shifts a little bit, gets a little comfortable, and just kind of gives Michonne a look. And so Michonne, did you hiccup?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse
That
me.
was just a hiccup.
I don't know if you say excuse me or excuse you or bless you for hiccups, or if
You
it's
say nothing and accept it.
just don't draw attention to it. Whatever.
I
you do.
literally can't stand when I hiccup and people are like, "Oh, bless you, excuse you." Like, it's involuntary.
Well, so
No
it's a
spit
sneeze.
went anywhere. It's different though, because I didn't spit all over somebody.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's a different podcast.
So then
Excuse you.
my
His
my belly,
stomach growled.
my stomach growled. It's processing. We just ate. So Diane gets comfortable. Michonne kind of like, okay, and then like takes her sword off and then looks at her.
Unclips it. Super smart.
Yeah, it's like clipped down to the back so it doesn't flail around when she's running and stuff. So then she looks at everybody else, and everybody starts ditching the weapons, and then Magna protests a little bit. I just got these back. And Yubiko just gives her a look, and they all ditch the weapons. And yeah, that was it.
Yep. Pretty
that
much the
teaser.
synopsis.
Yep. So let's start at the top with the first teaser. We see the walker that we kind of come up behind, and she stands up and turns her head and like looks in their direction. Excuse me. If you don't know who Alpha is, she is the leader of the Whisperers, and she's going to be played by Samantha Morton, who is also from Fantastic Beasts. She played like the bad mom, as Lydia described her.
It's Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah. It's the first one. I don't know if she's in the second one. I hadn't seen it or not. Apparently, not many others have either. It's not
I'm pretty
doing
sure
too
she
well.
died in the first one.
Did she?
Spoiler to Fantastic Beasts if you haven't seen it. Sorry.
Maybe she's not coming back for the second one. But yeah, she's like the leader of the cult or whatever with the family and beats the kids and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah. So she's playing the big bad, and
interested to see that because I didn't really care for her in Fantastic Beasts, not because of her acting ability, just because I didn't really like the character that much. So I'm interested to see her go
almost
for a
went down the wrong
different
tube.
look.
Sorry.
I grew up saying different pipe, and so it's been a long, like, we've been together 4 years, and it's still weird to hear the wrong tube.
My bad.
Are you a pipe or a tube person? Just kidding.
Yeah, if you're having a drink and it goes down wrong, what do you say? Went down the wrong pipe or the wrong tube?
I'm really interested to
Or
know,
a different
actually.
tube. What'd
Can you
say?
put that poll on Twitter for me?
Sure. Excuse me. Whoa. Yeah, so anyway, like, Alpha has a shaved head, so that would be a completely different look.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if she went full method and actually shaved her head, or she's just wearing a bald cap for it.
Or maybe they don't
see.
have her as shaved head.
That's true. That's true. Maybe it's completely
They
different.
rewrite characters all the time.
Yep. So there's a couple big characters that stand out as far as I know. To be transparent, I have not read the comics up to this point. I know some about it just from flipping pages in the bookstore and talking to people and stuff like that. As far as I know, there's three big characters. There's Alpha, the leader. There's Beta, that's kind of like a Frankenstein, huge-ish man who runs another herd of whisperers.
Like the mountain?
Kind of. Like, yeah, he's just a massive dude. And his name's Beta. And then there's Lydia, who I think is Alpha's daughter. And she runs away from the Whisperers and gets involved with Carl. And then the Whisperers show up to reclaim her.
Which is who we thought Enid was.
Yeah.
When Enid first showed up.
Yeah.
Especially since she continually snuck out of the walls and things like that, which
Yeah.
they never really covered.
Yeah, they never really went into detail, like where she was going and why she was doing all that, except that maybe she just liked to be out on her own or something. But so there was a scene in this past episode where Connie, Connie, one of the newcomers, was in the wagon. She's looking out into the woods and then says that it's nothing. And then as they're leaving, we get a point of view that it looks like somebody's watching them leave. So that could potentially be Lydia, because there are some photos of the upcoming episode that shows Henry with like these three other teenagers that he's kind of connected with while he's at Hilltop, and they're out in the woods, and it looks like they've just met someone or something. So that could be Lydia that they've come up on.
And they rewrite it with Henry and Lydia.
Yeah.
Rather than Carl and...
Yeah, because personally, I would rather see Enid and Alden together. than
I'm not
Enid
about
and
Henry and Enid.
Yeah, that'd be, yeah.
I think it's just a little...
Yeah, because they've already used her for the romantic interest for someone, so like let her be her own character now.
Which I like that they've done.
Yeah, exactly. Like making her the doctor and giving her like an actual usage. She's not somebody's assistant or something. You know what I mean? She's
What's wrong with that?
No, you know what I mean. Don't put me on the spot. Anyways, she is the doctor. Like, she's in charge. I mean, Alden is the blacksmith's assistant. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong.
Is that, like, where did you see that, though?
That's another photo.
Another photo?
He's.
So is this, like, sneaks off the set or, like,
no, it's
pictures that they've released?
Like, if you go to AMC.com, you can go to the Walking Dead show, and then they've got, like, a couple articles or videos and then photos for the next episode. They've got, like, 1 or 2 photos up so far. Huh. And all right, so yeah, Eugene says that the walkers are evolving. At this point, we know that they're not actually evolving. I think it would be somewhat interesting if the virus was growing or changing at this point, but I mean, that gets into territory where it might work in comics or something. Not that they've done that, but I think that's what everybody was thinking at first when it first happened. They didn't realize what was going on. Which is, some people are responding the same way. Just people who are only show watchers, don't know anything about the comics. They're thinking that sometime that the walkers might be evolving or whatever.
Which I really don't feel like I think it would be too difficult to take it in that direction, because then you get into the issue of why aren't some evolving further and becoming normal again. I feel like you can get into that, and it's, I mean, now you're creating thought and forethought into it rather than just them responding to noise and coming to eat them.
Yeah. And
Like that gets a little too wishy-washy.
Yeah. I mean, that is definitely well into the sci-fi realm, because I mean, if you look at naturalistically, most viruses devolve the host. They don't make them smarter.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, it would make sense for the virus to evolve, in different ways, especially 10 years later.
But then that only turns into cannibalism. I mean, like if the walkers are able to form thought, but still eating humans, at that point it's just cannibalism.
which is more crazy.
What? Are you saying like
Excuse me.
which that is more crazy, or if you're asking?
And I say, yeah, that is more crazy. And I don't know if I don't think the Whisperers eat people. I know they're very tribal and they're rough and they destroy things, but I don't think they eat people, as far as I know. Quin's been kind of sparing us all the details. Didn't want to spoil us too much unless he has to.
And it can always turn out different, so it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, they're having to remix everything at this point.
I'm really thankful for the note about Sadiq and Michonne being the ones over with Rosita, because I completely missed that. I was more so distracted with Rosita losing her braids. I really hope that they rebraid her hair, because I loved it. It made her look really cool. So I was a little disappointed to see that they took her braids out. But I mean, I realized because they got to like feel around her head, make sure she's not like bleeding anywhere else on her head and stuff. So I get it. But so I didn't even see that it was Michonne and Sadiq with her when she was freaking out. I missed that.
Yeah. So also, if you the arrival at Hilltop with Michonne and Sadiq and company. I went back and watched the arrival of Carol and Daryl and Henry. Completely different. Played out completely differently. Like,
they just opened the gates for them and they just rode right in.
Well, we get a scene. We're on the inside looking out, and rather from the outside looking in. So I mean, even perspective wise, it's completely different. But the gates are already open when they start the scene and they're coming through. So we don't know like what happened before that, but they definitely still have their weapons on them when they come through. So it's got to be something with Michonne that
has sparked the distrust.
Right, yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with the X scars or brands or whatever, because Daryl's got it as well. So
I feel like that the Hilltop and the Kingdom have to be in good talks if they're talking about the fair. And for Alexandria to be on the outs of that, and Michonne to be coming from Alexandria, and know that they're not intending to be part of the fair and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I mean, and Diane, last time we saw her, she was working pretty closely with Maggie. So I can imagine over the 6 years how close they've gotten. Just keep bumping everything, huh?
I'm not trying to.
So,
how close who've gotten?
Huh?
You said how close they've gotten.
Oh, yeah. Diane and Maggie have obviously...
What if she's been gone for the whole 6 years?
Well, surely not, because Jesus... I mean, you would think 6 years he would have realized that he has to be the leader.
Well, he got re-elected. What if they have 4-year terms?
I personally don't think it's been that long.
I don't think it has either.
Oh, you're just playing devil's advocate?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, one of the theories is that the X's are from like obviously from some previous event that has shaken Michonne and Daryl and everybody. And even, excuse me, some event that even King Ezekiel mentioned that, things haven't been the same since, and at first we're led to believe that they're talking about since Rick left, the show, but it seems more and more obvious that it's another thing that happened. So one of the theories is that there was a civil war and the Hilltop branded Michonne and Daryl, but I don't think that makes sense. I mean, that would be interesting.
I don't think Jesus would be on board with that. If
Right.
Maggie branded Michonne and Daryl and then was like, man, I went too far. But then to me, Jesus wouldn't welcome her back to be the leader.
Yeah,
like,
he would not be okay. They wouldn't be on good terms for sure.
I don't think they would be on good terms. Exactly. And so I don't necessarily think, sorry guys, I'm trying to get comfortable here and I'm just not. I would think that it's got to be some outside source. And so since we haven't talked about Oceanside,
Yeah.
I mean,
well, before you go into that, the X also doesn't make sense if it has to do with branding, because Daryl was welcomed in just fine, and without any kind of suspicion or anything, and he's been out there on his own too.
well, what I'm saying is unless Oceanside branded them.
Yeah.
Is what I was going to say, is like, unless it was an outside force that had branded them.
Yeah, because I mean, that's another thing is like we're only 2 episodes into, or 2 point whatever, because of the teaser at the third one, but there's only been, I don't know if it's because of real estate as far as time wise, that we've only heard of Alexandria, the Kingdom, and Hilltop. But there's been zero mention of Oceanside. And they even covered like the remnants of the Saviors and mentioned that the sanctuary went bust. So, I mean, they covered that, but they're reluctant to cover Oceanside. So are they going to cover it? Is it going to go the way of Heath? Or are they not mentioning it because Oceanside has a big role in what went down before?
I think it's the latter. I think it's because the Oceanside had a big role. Like, you don't just murder some saviors, some, to me, changing saviors. Like that one, the last one where they reveal that it's Oceanside murdering them. I kind of didn't really want her to die. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I thought she was kind of nice. Kind of turning around. And so I feel like to go from that venue with Oceanside to just not even mentioning them, that's definitely something went down with them.
Yeah. There's another theory. Excuse me.
I think it's purposeful illusion right now. Like, that they're purposefully not mentioning them, like going out of their way to not say anything about them.
Yeah. I apologize, guys. I've still got a little cough.
He always has a little cough.
Yeah, and this weekend we went to a basketball game and had to walk like a quarter mile in the cold, wet, all the way back to the parking garage, coming and going uphill. So
it's not that he only sleeps like 2 hours max throughout the week.
Too.
It's not that.
Especially in preparation for this, but. The one theory said, these theories are a dime a dozen, and some of them hold water and some don't. But I mean, it's interesting, worth mentioning, just throwing it out, because it might lead to a better theory. But one theory says that Michonne and company, Alexandra, found out about Oceanside executing the saviors, and they tried and executed Oceanside in I can't think of the word, but they did that, and not repercussion.
Loft. It's called a loft. Sorry, it just hit me. I was gonna look it up here in a minute, but it hit me. It's called a
barn
loft.
Yeah, the loft of the barn.
I'm pretty sure they were in a barn loft.
Maybe. We'll see. Next episode. So anyway, yeah, in recompense and revenge, not necessarily revenge, but anyway, in order to make things right, I guess, the theory says that Alexandria executed Oceanside, in return for the saviors that they executed.
Which, like, I feel like we could tear that theory apart in a million different ways.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
nobody really cared that much about the saviors dying.
Well, except that they've got several saviors that are part of their community now, and even one on the board or the council.
Yeah, but who's to say that those saviors like the other saviors?
That's true.
They might be like, yeah, I've never killed anybody and I'm a savior. Maybe they
That's
deserve.
doubtful.
It's doubtful, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like that's not a valid enough reason for them to have executed them.
Yeah.
Like, exile would have been fine. I mean, even when Maggie hung Gregory, they were talking. She was like, I don't want to do this a lot. Like, this is not something that we're going to keep doing.
Yeah.
This is not what we do. And so I really, to execute all of Oceanside when they haven't even killed Negan,
Yeah.
I don't really think that.
That's a very good point. Yeah, if they were going to do anything, they'd imprison them, especially with Negan. So yeah, that would
And that's
just be
a whole
crazy.
lot of people to feed for no workforce. So I imagine that they would have only exiled them. Maybe that's why we haven't heard about Oceanside, but I highly doubt that they slaughtered them all.
Yeah, or I mean, maybe Oceanside just went off to be on their own. You know, they just
Which is
decided,
probably very likely because to me, it really seemed. I can't remember her
that's
name.
how
Was
they
it like
were.
Karen or something? The leader or whatever.
Oh, I forgot.
I don't know.
Just went blank.
We'll say Karen. I feel like
It's not Karen though.
I'm gonna look it up now that you like so sold on it not being Karen. It's gonna be close. Watch. Maybe that one will hit me like The Loft did.
Yeah.
I feel. What was I saying about it? Oh, that maybe the whole time the only reason that they had aligned with them was to get to that end game of killing the saviors. Like the whole plot of Oceanside was solely for the revenge. The whole reason they ever teamed up with them in the beginning was to that end game see execution style the murderers, you know.
Yeah, and they're not really interested in being part of a greater community.
So they just left.
I mean, that's how they found them in the first place. They were fine on their own, and maybe they just decided to go back to it.
Yep. I think that's what is probably most likely.
Did you figure it out yet?
I'm scrolling. I'm not to her yet. I gotta get past all the other people.
Oh. So yeah, Zero mentioned there's got to be something going on with Oceanside, just because they're as many things as they've mentioned in passing for exposition's sake, and no mention of Oceanside. They're got to be holding back for something. That's what I think, anyways.
Man, there's a whole lot of people in front of her.
Where's she?
Cindy.
So
not that far from Karen.
Oh yeah, totally not far from Karen.
You acted like it was something crazy.
Oh no, I just said not Karen.
You were like, not Karen for sure. For sure not Karen.
Yeah, I totally did that.
That's exactly how he talks. Perfect impression.
When I'm not
well done, Lydia.
On camera or in front of a microphone.
2 points to Voldemort.
Voldemort?
Yeah, we're Team Voldemort.
Are we?
I am. I don't know about you, but I'm on Jim Halpert's team. That's an Office quote, guys.
Okay.
He's on Team Voldemort when on Beach Day. If you're not an Office fan, you can stop watching. I'm just kidding. You don't have to be. I won't force it.
Yeah. So anyway, back to The Walking Dead. All right. So there's still I cannot find my words today. There's still a pervasive theory that has not been answered.
It's a toilet paper word right there.
What?
Okay, never mind. I'm done.
Are you making Office
Friends.
jokes?
It's off of Friends, where he's like, "Oh, did he get you the word toilet paper?" It like tells you a word and a definition on the toilet paper.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry. I'm
It was
in
like
Walking Dead zone right now.
That was a silver dollar word there. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
Yeah. So no worries. Let's see. All right. So there's still a theory that has not been answered and can still go both ways. Is RJ real theory? If RJ is not real, there are huge implications as far as Michonne and everybody and everything that's going on, and that it gets dark. And I personally love that because they're stepping more into the horror realm and psychological.
The nobody is safe type thing.
Exactly. Like, yeah, even though you might have survived this long, your PTSD might do you in.
How depressing that if Rick was still around, his first wife died during childbirth, and then his second baby died during childbirth. Like, that would be very depressing for Rick. Be interesting to see how Rick reacted to that. I think that RJ was real, but that he died. Either stillbirth or something traumatic happened to have her have a miscarriage or something along those lines. So much so that that's why she knows it was a boy and things of that nature. And even
got a name.
Yeah, exactly. I think even Dylan, he put on here that Avi Nash, who plays Sadiq, said in a what's that?
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes video on AMC's YouTube page that Sadiq and Michonne are so close because he delivered her baby. And I don't know if he maybe shouldn't have slipped that, or surely if that was big secret, they wouldn't have posted it on the website.
They would have edited it out.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like
so I mean, at least we know, the only thing we know is that he was born, not that he's still alive, because
so it's not that he's real, it's that whether he's alive.
Yeah, and there's been zero mention of him, even with the mention of Judith and Carl this past episode, and that Michonne needed to get back. And he wasn't, you do have a child.
Didn't say anything like, hey, Judith needs you around. You shouldn't risk your life further. He didn't say anything like that. So I feel like that's not a concrete
Well, Judith can
proof.
take care of herself, obviously.
She's still, 10, 11 years old? Like, she still needs a mom around even if Michonne does die.
I mean, she needs her mama, for sure. But, I mean, I don't know. It's just like the Oceanside thing. It could be something, it could be nothing, but there's a vacuum, and so something's going to fill it. You know, somebody's going to come up with some reason why it's not being mentioned. And for all of this to have happened and this still be a thing, even though Angela Kang said, oh, yeah, RJ's real, that doesn't mean squat.
She said he's real, not that he's alive.
Yeah. Of course he's real. He was born.
He is a real character.
He was,
he's real to Michonne.
Yeah, and the update so far is that he was born. That's all we know. We don't know if he's still alive.
My vote is that he's not. That's my vote.
Yeah, because and if you haven't heard this theory, the episode we saw him in, there was no other mention of him any other place. He showed up. Magna, people could say, well, Magna saw him. Well, not necessarily. She might have just seen
an event.
Yeah, she might just have seen Michonne getting in the fridge or something, but in Michonne's head, she's picking up, RJ or whatever. Because when Magna comes to the door, Michonne, I mean, as cautious as Michonne is, there's really no reason necessarily to think that it wouldn't just be a neighbor or somebody, because they haven't had newcomers. And so she doesn't answer. She answers the door by herself. There's no RJ. And then when she turns around, the kid, the kid originally came downstairs. He's up because he's hungry. And you mean to tell me that he's just going to stop whining about being hungry so she can answer the door and talk to Judith and then come back and say, okay, Mom, now it's my turn?
It's very possible that because there were newcomers and Michonne is so on edge that she sent him to his room and was like, hey, stay there, and then she closes the door and is done talking to Judith and he thinks everything is okay and comes back out. Kids are fickle. You really never know.
Yeah, it could definitely go both ways here.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that he's alive though, because the the RJ that we saw was not 6-year-old RJ.
Well, he would have to be like 5 because you got to give him 9 months. But still.
He wasn't 5-year-old RJ. He was 3-4 pushing it.
But my thing is like, and this could just be a plot hole with the writers or just something that they didn't want to address because they wanted a one-on-one conversation between Judith and Michonne. But the entire time they're talking, like he could have been like standing next to her or something to allude that he's there. Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, the theory people would still say unless he interacted with Judith,
That he
could still be standing there all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've watched Fight Club, you know how this theory works.
Yeah, don't spoil Fight Club though.
Yeah. But if you haven't seen
I feel
Fight
like
Club,
that was a
go watch
spoiler.
Fight Club. Yeah. So Fight Club right behind me there.
Yeah, pretty good. I didn't really love it the first time around until I got into the theories and I was like, oh, dang, this is pretty good. Quality. I do want to say something about Michonne's reaction to Sadiq telling her that Maggie was not at Hilltop. This isn't really going with teasers or anything like that, but I forgot to mention it earlier, so I do want to say it. I loved her reaction because it showed that no matter what they had gone through, that she still loves Maggie. Like,
She's
Maggie
concerned,
was such a big part of that, and for her to just leave and not even say anything, to me it looked like Michonne was a little bit hurt.
Yeah, and we could definitely get into speculation territory with that because, I mean, like I said in the last podcast, the last time we saw Michonne and Maggie interact, yeah, they had a disagreement over Negan, but it ended pretty cordially. And then Rick's death or apparent death, and she was helping Michonne.
She was like holding her back.
Yeah, she was holding her back. So, and unless there's new beef going on between them two based on what's going on between whatever event happened or just between the politics of communities that disagree, or if Michonne is blaming them for Rick's having to be in the explosion in the first place because had they all worked together, that wouldn't have happened, you know.
It's very possible.
Yeah, there's. Bless you. Sorry, I'm not supposed to say anything. My bad. So, I mean, there's man, I cannot wait to find this out. Like, I love this part of The Walking Dead.
That's why I felt like the episode was anticlimactic because I'm ready to figure out what happened. And you know that they're not going to tell us in next week's episode. So, of course, we're going to have to go the whole break without knowing what it is.
Yeah.
It's aggravating. I'm not a patient person. I never have been, never will be.
But I do love the momentum and the way Angela Kang is guiding this season, is writing this season out so far. I haven't been this excited about The Walking Dead and where it's going and what's going on and ooh, what is this? What is that? I haven't had that in a long time. And that's one of the reasons we got into this. One of the reasons I got into The Walking Dead and why I brought other people along, and she hadn't seen it when we met and we started watching it. And then we decided to do the podcast thing, and still in the midst of like starting up with Negan and everything last season, because we thought it was going to wrap decently. And then the whole thing with Carl happened, and you know, second guessing why we started doing a show about it. But I mean, that's one of the things that makes the show great. Is the water cooler talk, you know, where you talking with your friends over, you know, outside of the show. You know, I've mentioned Monty Python, The Search for the Holy Grail before. It's like you watch it the first time and it just seems like the dumbest, most stupidest thing you've ever seen. But then the more you talk about it with your friends, it becomes this, it takes on a whole new life and becomes this great thing to where, you know, it's like you start watching for like little quirky things, you know, and they, you know, just the more and more you get out of it, you know.
I will say that the first time I watched Monty Python, I did love it because the beginning credits have the bit about the moose. So if you haven't ever paid attention to the beginning credits, you definitely should.
Yeah, absolutely read that. Take the time to read that.
It's hilarious. I do want to talk a little bit about who's going to be on the couch on Talking Dead next week.
Hold on. We didn't finish the RJ thing. So I did a Twitter poll. 33% thinks he's real. 67% said, nope, Michonne is broken. He's not real. And just to add more fuel to the theory, somebody apparently asked Robert Kirkman straight up, is RJ real? And he dodged the question. And he only usually has to do that if there's something he can't talk about. Because, I mean, even things like, is Daryl gay or whatever, he's openly talked about it. He's like, hey, I'm not opposed to it, or whatever. But, I mean, there's no reason why he wouldn't just say, well, no, that's ridiculous or whatever, unless there was something planned around that. So... So very, very interesting. Anyways, okay.
So Ross Marquand and Robert Kirkman are going to be on the couch next week. And then also a surprise cast member is going to be on it.
Yeah.
Because it didn't say surprise guest, it said surprise cast member. And so it is someone from the show. It's not Yvette Nicole Brown, disappointingly enough.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Yvette, we love you.
You're the greatest. Please give me a notebook. No, I'm just kidding. One with writing already in it, preferably.
Yeah, one of the old ones you're just not going to do anything with. We'll put it in a glass case.
Yeah, we'll frame it for sure. Rumors say that Jesus died. I am not actively spreading that rumor. I do not think that is the case. If it is, I'll be highly upset.
Yeah, and that, to me, I mean, that kind of comes out of the blue. Even though, I mean, a lot of time these rumors are true, or turn out to be true. Man, that just really comes out of left field.
Well, not so much when last episode we saw Tara specifically saying, hey, you got to handle this. Hey, you got to handle this. And he's like, I'll handle it as soon as I get back.
And that usually means...
that they don't come back.
Yeah, especially if you're a Game of Thrones watcher. They're not coming back.
So, I don't think it would come out of left field, but I would be really upset based on how much I love Jesus' character and the possibility of him being a stepdad to Gracie and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, because that would kill the Aaron shipping completely, literally.
Wow. Not about it.
Yeah.
So who do you think died? Do you think it's Jesus? Do you think anyone's gonna die next episode?
I don't know. I mean, it is the mid-season finale, so something big is going to happen, and of course, I think that they're going to reveal who the Whisperers are. That they're actually people, and we might even meet Lydia or Alpha or both. But like. Apparently, the reveal with these characters in the comic book was such a big deal because, like, Alpha, from what I understand, pulled her mask off. Like, well, she had a shotgun. She pulled a shotgun on somebody and said like stop or something like that, and it was like, whoa, that's crazy. This walker's using a shotgun. She pulled her mask off, and you saw that it was a person. And so maybe Jesus, gets the end of the shotgun because he seems to be kicking butt and taking names. But that's a whole nother thing because dealing with somebody that's alive and, is a scrapper or whatever, it's completely different than just killing off walkers left and right. I mean, that completely changes the numbers game where, one person might be able to take out 10, 20 walkers after being in the apocalypse this long and they figured it out and how they move and all that kind of stuff. But you get somebody that, where they think it's a walker and they go to stab them and then they block it, or they stab them back. Like, I mean, that changes the game. And the horror element that the atmosphere and what they could do with that just is really exciting.
I agree. I think it's definitely really exciting. And they have to do something big because it is the mid-season finale. But I just really don't want them to kill anybody yet. I don't have any closure from
Rick?
The time jump with anybody's character right now to see a significant character die. If Jesus were to die, I would feel not enough closure because I want to know what he knows from the time jump and everything that he knows. And so I'll be kind of disappointed if they kill off a main character that I don't have closure on yet.
Yeah, I feel a little robbed because, I mean, we're still figuring out what the world is without Rick and Maggie.
Yeah.
You know, and they were huge characters. I mean, if you're going to, I don't know, maybe for the sake of momentum or whatever, but let us recover, let us take a breath, and, you know, I mean, and that's part of the horror genre is like, you know, it's timing.
Nobody's safe. Yeah.
Timing, you know, knowing when to hit, you know, because people figure out, oh, here's the jump scare, and waiting a second before people expect or have a second after and then getting them, you know. So timing is a big deal. So I'm curious how we're going to feel after next week's episode, if we feel satisfied with how it played out or if we're feeling like it's another Negan.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
I would love to hear what theories you guys have about if you think somebody's going to die and who's going to die, because I'm at a loss for if it's not Jesus, who it would be.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's just one of the new ones that we don't really know or something.
But I think that they're saving someone of them to die at the fair, kind of like the comics has talked about, and Quin even mentioned how Luke is supposed to die at the fair, and so I feel like they're saving them for the fair. So I don't think that they would kill one of them just yet.
They are working overtime to try to make us like them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're spending a lot of time with them. And with the focus on Luke, and that, you know, of course, you can always tell who's about to die because we see their face a lot more. And with them spending so much time on Luke and what he believes and everything, you know, it's looking like it's going to be Luke. And somebody even mentioned that Luke reminded them of Dale, like how he was putting it out there, you know, and talking about society and, you know, the greater good and all this stuff.
I really liked how they tied in like his belief that music and art is so important, and talked about Georgie and her records in this episode, because she traded information for a new world for records for music. So I loved that it all kind of tied together there.
Yep. Only to lead up to the fair and the consequences of doing fun things.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah. But I mean, that's life. I mean, you put yourself out there and then you know, inevitably negative things happen, and it's all about how you respond to the negative things, if you move forward or if you're just going to let that keep pushing you back. So, I mean, it's a struggle, and that's where we're at. That's what The Walking Dead is. It's a struggle. So, and it's fun to watch. So, I think that's it, unless you've got something else. All right. So, comment and let us know what you thought of the theories, or if you've got something else, or if you've got a different angle that we didn't think about, we'd appreciate that. We would love to interact with you guys and engage with you guys. So, thanks for watching, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, podcast, what have you. We appreciate that. And check out the website, please. It's www.broken.pictures.com. And we got a store on there, broken.pictures/store. And you can get things like this poster here, or Broken Pictures shirts and stuff like that. And and if you're feeling generous, you can hit us up on on Patreon. You can hit us up on Broken Pictures on that. And just if you'd like to see us do more or have more time or whatever. But also, you can find us on social media: Facebook, Broken Pictures Social, Instagram and Twitter, Broken_social. And but if you can't do any of that, then we would really appreciate it if you would just like or share or comment on our things, and just let us know what you thought about it, and just let us know you're listening. Just say hey or wave or whatever. We'd appreciate any of that. Rate and review. Just a little feedback would be great. That would help us get better. So I appreciate that. Thanks for watching once again. This is Dylan.
And I'm Lydia.
And this has been The Broken Dead. Peace.